The exhibition Sonic Rebellion Music as Resistance is an exhibition that brings together artworks that equally relate to music, protest, and politics. Starting point are the Detroit Rebellion in 1967 and sort of exploring how much music has taken part in a form of rebellion within the city of Detroit and beyond that. The city of Detroit. That's an interesting Freudian slip.
It made the beat cops all jump and shout.
Religion and music was always very natural to me. I grew up in a family of musicians, and my father is a medium, which is like a priest in spiritism. So all those elements I grew up on this, and when I learned more about gospel, it felt like it's very different in a way because I'm from a different culture, but I could relate to it because it brought two things that were separate in my culture together: music and a sense of a spirit coming in your body and modulating your speech. I felt that that's very present in Brazilian culture as well, but in a different way. So my soundtrack is a sonic hallucination. It's a fictitious radio program where there is only one hit, and it's a gospel song by the Clark sisters, which is a trio from Detroit. And the song is called Praying Spirit. It's the only one of the only songs that play like in a loop. And throughout this loop, we'll hear these programs from WDTR.
Every day I wake up another sad song, and it feels like my brain has been caught up in a sandstorm or a tunnel where it ain't no light. Shit wrong and I feel like it can't go right. I keep losing my idols, the ones I looked up to. Dilla Big Proof by 10, my bugs too. It's like a dark cloud we just can't shake. People thinking this a curse that we just can't break. Detroit, the motor capital, Motown, the mitten, the highest unemployment rate, people living through foreclosure, drugs and prostitution, suicides, homicides, air pollution, crooked mayors, judges, politicians. Detroit, where I call home, dog, I live it. Crooked mayors, judges, politicians. It's Detroit, where I call home, dog, I live it.
Of what inspired the exhibition was also this idea of like how if we are not conscious about our past, we might run into the danger of repeating it. And the work behind me here to the right is sort of speaking a little bit about that. It's a revolving door made out of discarded doors from buildings. You know, those could be the buildings that were destroyed during the rebellion. And it's a revolving door, and you walk in into the one side, and you basically come out the same side as you got in, and it's somehow a little bit of perhaps how we experience the political situation now, 50 years later after the rebellion. If you will, not much has actually changed in terms of the difference in racial politics between 1967 and 2007, or the last years when you think about the incidences in Ferguson and what followed, and of course the sort of rising of Black Lives Matter. So the revolving door is somehow a bit of a metaphor for how you enter into one thing. You go through a lot of doors and you think you're making progress, but at the end of the day, sort of ending up at the same place that you came from. So the exhibition is really very much about sort of trying to bring attention to that particular history.
So really what influenced us was starting to collect records in like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, and not seeing a certain thing represented, right? So the period I kind of deal with in my work a lot is called like the Black Power movement, and there was a lot of documentation of that, as you'll see in the show, like through photographs and that kind of thing, but not so much through the music, not as much as you would expect through the music. And so what I started doing is just creating that because I wasn't seeing it.
I think that this is probably one of the shows that brings together, that summarizes the most of what we're really trying to do here at the museum. Being sensitive to the history and the realities of Detroit today, looking at the field of art and how that intersects with politics and music. MOCAD has a really long and rich history of programming music, and bringing all of those three elements together is pretty much at the core of how we think about programming. So this exhibition really exemplifies this in the best possible way.